You're listening to All Things 3D, where we talk about the world of fabricating, designing, and capturing in the third dimension.
There were once places beyond reach. Sights unseen. They called to us and led us here. A world within ours. Wild. And without end. Welcome to a new reality.
Hello, everybody. Well, for some reason, Chris is on a bus somewhere, and I don't know why. Hopefully, he'll come back to us. But he emailed me this morning and said, "Did I tell you that on Tuesday?" And I had to say no. So with that being said, we had John already scheduled to come on and tell us about the Midwest Festival, but he's going to join us and kind of hang in there for the entire event and kind of provide commentary. So John, introduce yourself again. I guess I better unmute you. Go ahead. Hang on.
Filling in for Kristen, it sounds like.
Okay. Go ahead and say that again. I had muted you when I had the video playing, so I apologize. So,
no problem.
So introduce yourself again. Sorry, John.
All right, I'm John Olafson from CME-CNC, and I'm filling in for Chris today on the All Things 3D.
And I really appreciate it. Okay, well, let's get right into the main theme. And let me jump to the screen, and that is a couple of items that were announced at GDC, and one of them is the Valve demonstrates the future of VR better than anyone. This is an article out of GameSpot, and it appears that the consensus is that this new thing by HTC and Valve is a winner. And one of the reasons for that is they provide the ability to do full body, not necessarily full body tracking in the sense of joints, but your presence in a room. So you can literally walk around. Obviously, you're still tethered unless you put it on your back, but the ability to put two modules in a room, I guess they identify in corners, like speakers, and then it uses laser tracking to identify your positioning, and I'm assuming that's what all these sensors are for. So I think it's, I think it's going to be pretty neat. Let me bounce over to the actual screen if you haven't seen it already. And the person who did the interview, or I'm sorry, the review of this particular item, identified that he got an opportunity to swim with some whales, do some virtual cooking, watch I don't know, some type of animated light show, and then obviously with Valve's involvement, if you're familiar with Portal, he got to play with the robots. Actually, I guess he was supposed to fit it, and if you've ever played Portal, the main computer banters you and actually teases you pretty badly, and I guess that goes along with this. But the important thing is it was like he was part of this environment and actually working on the robots. So yeah, I think it's kind of neat, and I thought Portal was super realistic to begin with, and as you can see in the image behind me, that probably looked pretty cool. In looking at the technical specs of this thing, the screen is essentially, I guess, a 24. It's like 1200 by 10 or 1080, or maybe even 1200. So it's very similar to the Gear VR from the image perspective of the screen itself. Other than that, the person said it's fairly comfortable, or as comfortable as the Oculus Rift. There is a development kit coming out. I don't know if there's a price, but supposedly in the next month. And then they're looking at this holiday releasing it. John,
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and mute you until I bring you in. It does appear that your printer is singing and wants to be part of the show. So
No problem.
okay. So on that note, I think that's really cool. And the other thing that was announced this week was Unreal, the engine done by Epic, which I think it was like $29 if you wanted to be a developer, is now free. So in fact, since I was a developer in paying, I did get a little bit of a credit back from them, but I'm glad that I did back them, and I'm glad that they're now offering it for anybody to use. And as it identifies here, free for game developers, free for virtual reality, free for education, free for architecture, free for film. And you know, as I've mentioned on previous shows, I have actually worked with this particular engine, creating some visualizations for an architectural firm. And at that time, some of the effects we were using in the Unreal 3 engine, it was quite expensive, so we went with the UDK, but there were costs involved with that. So I'm glad that now they're providing you a free opportunity. I haven't looked into the details, if it's like the previous, if you start making above a certain amount in revenues, that's when you'll start paying a royalty to them. I haven't looked into that, but I guess if you're interested in this, please go out there. Again, in the show notes, all these links will be available to you. So finally, let's get out of GDC. There was a lot of other things that were mentioned. I will put a link out there, but I thought these were the two big items that have kind of spread through the news. And then I'll get into my first item, and then I'll bring John back in. He'll have an item to talk about, and then we'll go from there. I've got an unboxing of the Fuel 3D, if you're familiar with that scanner. That we'll do a little bit later. So on to my first item. So let's see. I don't know if you've seen this, but it appears the CI is very interested in something that we saw at CES, and that's the Voxel 8. I guess they're very interested in the ability of a 3D printer to embed circuitry. Gee, I wonder why. So as this article alludes to, or jokes humorously, you know, the age of James Bond, I could see it in the next James Bond movie, where you're able to take one of these 3D printers and put it in the trunk of your car and then print out, you know, whatever gadget you want. So I guess, was it Q? I guess Q may be out of a job now, but yeah. I think that's kind of neat. So are you familiar with this printer, John? Did you ever...
Yeah, the Voxel 8. Actually, one of my buddies that came to the first Midwest Rep Rap Fest and hung out with Johnny down at Ultra Machine is on the team to develop it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we got to see it at CES also.
Oh, you actually, okay. Yeah, that's right. You guys were there. Gee,
Yeah.
I actually talked to you physically. If it's not in VR, it didn't exist. Oh, that's not right. Okay. So that's my item. John, did you, on short notice, get us an item to talk about?
So you were looking for a new product announcement, right?
Well, we either a new product, a project that you're working on, but we do, Chris and I switch between 3 news items. So
Okay.
if it's a new product that hits the news, that would be great.
I got some stuff here I can talk about. Do you have a second? So yeah,
we have some seconds.
Have you guys talked about the Matter Control Touch tablets yet?
Actually, Chris has been excited about it, but I think he ordered one, and I don't think he has it yet. And it looks like you've got one in your hand.
Yeah.
So what do you think of it? Have you opened it yet, or is this going to be an unboxing for us?
Oh, I can unbox it and do both. But yeah,
okay.
So we've been working with the Matter Control guys for a little over a year now in the Switch and keeping with the open source software world. They have some pretty good software for driving the desktop 3D printers, and they're a pretty good group of guys out of Orange County, California. I keep wanting to say LA. And so here recently at CES, they announced their Matter Control Touch tablet. It's a 7-inch Android tablet that features a custom Android OS, custom ROM that they developed for use with 3D printers. Lots of features for... Go ahead.
So it is a custom ROM then?
Yep, it is. So a lot of the problems with tablets are like low power features and energy saving features. So they developed the ROM and the OS to keep the USB communications open all the time, and it will only connect to the printer if the charger is plugged into the tablet, so you never run the risk of starting the print on the from the tablet and then having the battery die and your print fail. So it's a pretty nice little unit. It's a 7-inch, pretty lightweight. Has a nice camera embedded in it. So inside the box, you got the tablet.
So, do you have any ideas on the specs of that tablet?
Yes, it's I should look that up a little better, but I believe it's a quad-core 1.2 gigahertz
Oh, okay.
processor, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you get the power adapter in the box, and then the USB adapter for the micro to a standard USB cable.
Okay, and that is a forked or a derivative of their what is it called, matter control?
Yep.
Yeah. And Chris really swears by that. I've actually gone the simplified 3D, but and actually have an Intel NUC hooked up with a large monitor. But I have run simplified 3D on an Intel machine, so I've looked at something similar.
Yeah.
And so, what's the cost of that? Yeah, I don't.
So right now they're in their first run of production, so the cost's going to come down as time goes on. But right now, $299 gets you a tablet that is Wi-Fi connected. You can control your 3D printer. You can use it for other, Android tablet uses also. It's not locked into their software. So we use it around the shop. We're coming up with some different mounts and things. It's actually available as a bundled option. If you buy one of our printers, you can add the tablet and save, at the same time of purchase. But the tablet by itself is $299.
That's pretty good. What I can get the Micro Center W802 now for $99.
Yep.
But if you put Simplified 3D down, I think that's $139. So you're getting pretty close to that. And as you said, you are paying the fact that it's been customized, and then as the volume or the run increases, then the price more than likely will come down. Well, so does it just control one printer, or do you think you could control multiple printers?
So if you've used their Matter Control desktop software, you can set up multiple different printer profiles in the software. And so whatever printer you connect it to, you choose it in the list, and then it's good to go. So it features basically their same Matter Control software. So you can download an STL file from the web. They're working on integration right now with their desktop software and the tablet, so that you can be sitting at your desk, get your STL files all laid out that you want to print, and then wirelessly or over the web send them to your touch tablet and have them queued up and ready to print. And remote print monitoring uses the camera. It can actually text you a picture of your print while you're printing if you walk away from the machine.
That's neat, and obviously being Wi-Fi controlled and having the ability to look at probably your camera remotely as well, I think is a neat feature. So you said you're making some mounts for it for your set of printers.
Yeah.
But if somebody has, let's say, another RepRap or another type of printer, will you make a customized version or a generic mount that other people can use?
Yeah, there's lots of little tablet stands out there. The little octopus arm tablet stands, the ones that I have printed all over the shop. But we're kind of integrating it into the control panel. It'll give you a lot more power than just the standard LCD screens that a lot of the 3D printers have nowadays. So
and obviously, since I asked you to be on more than just the announcement of the Midwest Festival, you probably don't have that printer with that customized tablet mount, huh?
Not yet, no.
It's right behind me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think that'll be neat. And it's something that who was it? Who did I have? He's actually going to be at the show. Eric. We did an interview with him last night. He created a custom mount for his WinBook W802. So I'm seeing that many people are starting to move in that direction, and I think they're great for that kind of thing. It's a larger surface, but I think that'll work really well. So let me go ahead and move on to my last news item, and that is something that I remember in the news. Oh gosh, what was it? Almost a year, maybe even longer, and it was a product that I was hoping. Because the person who brought it up was, I think, from Taiwan or Hong Kong, but he created what is called the Tiny Boy printer. And let's see, run right down to it, and there's some of the prints for it. But it was a plexiglass exterior, and then it looks like a standard, a two-rod system. Can you see that, John?
Yeah, it looks like the Ultimaker style gantry on the top.
Yeah. And one of the things that, and here it says that he was hoping to sell this for $130. So essentially, you could get all the components in that and make this for $130. And I think it was like 100 when I first saw him, but he kind of disappeared for a while, and I could never get him on for an interview because I think this is exciting because I think he's an educator. I think he's a professor, and he was really trying to introduce 3D printing in the school system, and he just kind of dropped off the radar for a while. And it looks like he's back, and it looks like he's evolved it. It looks a lot cleaner. It looks pretty nice. So if he can actually put this out for $130, God, I can't think of the name, but last Christmas, not this last holiday, what was the name of the company that put out that $100, sorry to say it, piece of garbage, because I actually bought one.
Was it an SLA or a...
No, it was a standard extrusion-based printer, but parts didn't fit. In fact, I had to fabricate my own. There wasn't any instructions when it came out, and it's probably best that I don't remember their name. But they made two different versions, and I guess they finally made a plexiglass, but they got a lot of negative reaction from that. They kind of rushed it to the market.
Yeah,
like I said, I bought one and had an intern put one together, and he almost pulled his hair out by the time, and he was able to finally print with it, but he had to make modifications. Software didn't work, so it was a great learning tool if you're willing to go through the crashes of it. But
yeah.
Notice again, here is our little tablet. So it appears that more and more people are moving in the direction of using tablets to control their. And it makes a lot of sense. So let's go ahead and play the video here.
Yeah, the tablets are going to definitely pick up in popularity because it gives you a lot more control of the machine than what you can get out of an LCD screen. There's a few machines out there that have the touchscreen panels that are the same size as the conventional LCDs, but there's just not a lot of real estate there to put buttons and things. In a tablet, you already get a lot of those features, the Wi-Fi, the file storage.
Yep.
And as the software integrates better with newer hardware tablets, it gets faster, and so it's using the touch tablet for matter control, it's pretty close to the equivalent speed of using a big desktop computer for slicing prints.
That's good, and that's something I noticed with my little W802 Intel-based with Simplify 3D. It performed pretty well. I was surprised. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I don't know what his slice size or height was, but that looked a little crude. But once you get a machine tuned up, maybe that would minimize that. But the fact that it's working, and if he does get to push this out at 130, I'll take a little rigid. So very neat. So on to John. I'll put it back in your corner. Something else that you want to show us?
Oh, let's see. Got all kinds of crazy stuff around here. Did you want to talk about the RepRap Festival now, or
no? Yeah, it's at the end of the show.
Okay.
So if you've got something else to show us, hey, some of the people didn't get a chance to see your new little baby, and it's not on your website yet. You want to bring out and what is the name of that? It's not the mini, or is it? I'm sorry.
Eris. E-R-I-S.
Say that again for me.
E-R-I-S. Eris.
Eris. Okay. So
Yeah.
do you have an Eris there that you can show us?
I could probably go grab one. I don't have one in my office here. But...
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll go on to my next item, and if you want to go grab one, I will, because I think I personally want to look at it because I have an idea for it, and I mentioned it in an email, and maybe we can talk about that. So I'm going to move on to my next item.
All right, I'll be right back.
Project. Okay, my projects this week, and I'll bring it up. One of the things, my parents visited me this week, and like everybody that seems to come into my life, I scan them. But I thought I'd take the opportunity to scan them in full body, and here's the results of that. This is using Sconnect 1.8.2, and along with the new iPhone derivative that I've been working on with the NEODiMOUNT. One of the pluses of using the new iPhone, and we're still pushing to try and get this out soon, but it will allow you to scan with one hand and be able to get into all the nooks and crevices. So I created scans of both of them. I will be putting them up on Shapeways, and then they can order them and print them. I did a monochrome version out of PLA and before they left. It took about 3 hours. I think it was like close to about 5 inches, but they were very impressed with it. Yeah, most people go back with 2D snapshots on their digital phones. No, my mother went back with a little sculpture of herself. So hopefully this process will get simpler and simpler. They'll be built into phones or other products that you can slap onto your phone, and that'll be the next selfie, the 3D selfie. So on that note, I'm going to jump back to John, and he's going to show us something that he brought up at CES, but and I did go by, and he gave us a little bit of a rundown. But you know, I don't see it on your website yet, and there may be a reason for that. But there's some interesting features on this. One of them is price, but the other things that you've gone ahead and moved forward with that I think will help improve the performance and the ease of use. So, John, it's in your corner.
All right, cool. So yeah, this is our new machine that we're working on. It's called the Eris. It's a small, all-assembled, ready-to-go Delta 3D printer. So the price, as you were speaking, we're going to start selling them here in the next couple weeks, probably for $5.99. Ready to go. One of the things we were after is getting that more affordable machine. We do sell a lot of printers to schools and the younger kids, right? So our $1,000 and up machines that's a pretty big investment. But $5.99, I mean, every time the next PlayStation comes out, that's what it's going to cost. So getting to that price point, a lot of what we used to do before we built 3D printers was injection molding. And we've done a lot of that in our current machines also, but we really leveraged our injection molding capabilities with this one. So it saves a lot on assembly time. A lot of the components can be kind of all put together in one unit, so lower parts count. And it's got a really good size. You can still print 5-inch round, 6-inch tall. Super portable, so guys that like to travel or go to college, back and forth between college, work, maybe they want to bring it into work, the office. Another place that we're looking at is we're developing a program for libraries, and so this would be a good one for them too. You know, with extrusion-based 3D printing, having a machine that can print 12 inches round, 15 inches tall is cool, but it takes 3 days to print something that large. So if you have a high turnover of kids coming through, the size of the Eris, you know, they can print 30-minute prints and print a lot of them for pretty low price point.
Okay. So what's the build volume?
5-inch round, 6 inches tall.
Okay. Did you say that already and I was tuned out?
Oh, no problem.
Okay. So I apologize for that. Yeah, I liked it when it was there, and as I mentioned to you in email, I have an interesting idea for it. Go ahead and move the head there. One of the things that we went to, and I did mention early on, as I normally cover what we did last week. I like your tattoo, by the way. That's neat. But one of the things that we spent most of last week doing, actually 2 or 3 days, was Real 2015, which was sponsored by Autodesk up in San Francisco. And it literally was a bunch of capture, but they also had some 3D fabrication, can't remember the large CNC machine, but it was fun watching that thing. I mean, it was like a walk-in closet. It was huge. But one of the things that caught our interest, because like I said, they did a lot of 3D capture, was this, what they call a micro photogrammetry system that uses a standard XY Cartesian gantry type system to meticulously photograph these insects. And we're talking like 30 hours. And one of the things that when you're doing photogrammetry, you want unique positioning for each of your images at different angles, and the more that you can accomplish, the better or more refined your mesh will be. We also, and this segues into the other item we covered, and we did it also on Tuesday, is we gave Tajana, actually she likes to go by Tanya, who is the project manager for a new product they're coming out with, is Memento, that allows you to take in images and create 3D meshes using photogrammetry. But it's also going to be a 3D mesh tool that allows you to work with very large meshes and both either decimate them or smooth them. So it has some rudimentary tools right now. And then what I think is cool, and I haven't really got it to work yet, is to be able to take a very high-res mesh, decimate it, but still bake in the high-res texture, and more importantly, now it's already coming, what they call normals, which creates a high-resolution mesh appearance using a low poly mesh. It's a big thing in the gaming world, and they also do, geez, damn it, I always forget the term, but there's another technique where you literally deform the mesh, and this would be really good for 3D printing, so you could have a low poly version of a model, and then using this other technique, sadly I don't remember, you can apply that in post and get all that mesh detail. So it would be great for printing, and that's something that I've been looking into, and if I can pull it off using their tool, it'll be really neat, so I'll show that in the future. So yeah, I think that's cool. So where am I going with this? I was thinking using the Eris, putting a camera on it instead of a hot end with a small, a micro server so that I can reposition the camera, and using the delta functionality, move the camera around by rotating it on the X, Y, and Z, and then rotating the axis with the servo motor so that I can get multi-position camera images.
Right.
Let's say 100 to 200, but it's done all automatically. And then it's precise. So I think Chris and I both almost came to the same conclusion, other than I thought I'd rather use a delta. So one of the things I'm hoping that we can work out is a possibility of taking the Eris into that direction, and because it is a pre-built unit, and then it just replacing the hot end with a camera system. So hopefully we can talk later, since you have one of the better deltas out there.
Sure.
So that's my idea, and I immediately thought of the Eris when I thought of that, seeing it at CES. Even though I didn't remember the name, I still remember the object. So the other project that I've been working on and making progress on, and I'll jump to that screen right now, is my NEODiMOUNT case for the iPhone 6 as well as the 6 Plus. I'm working with a company called Grip and Shoot. That's what's on the base of the case that allows you to use it with a Bluetooth grip, so that you never have to touch the screen. There we go. And with that being said, I can also I now put a little bit of a layer in the background, so the neodymium mount or neodymium magnets can be inserted very quickly. And then if you notice, I have the embossed emblems of both the grip and shoot and the structure sensor, as we all are aware of, gets attached using the neodymium magnets very quickly, and it's set up so that it aligns itself with the RGB camera. And in the future, they're making great progress on creating full color images. That's what I use to scan my parents, as you saw earlier, which to me is a breakthrough, especially with vertex coloring, or vertex coloring. So making progress. And John, if you're still out there, one of the things that I'd like to do, you said that you have some injection molding experience, is maybe talk about this. Right now we're going to get a short run done through Shapeways, but as you know, doing standard rapid prototyping can be expensive, so we may look at getting this injected molding, and I'd like to talk to you with your experience and see what the best direction is in getting this done with the least amount of expense. So hopefully we can get into that. So John, I'll bring it back to you, and this sounds like a good time before I get into the unboxing of the Feel 3D to kind of talk about what's going on this what is it? Oh, there it is. The 20th and 22nd of 2015 is, I will leave it to you to announce it.
Alrighty, so yeah, coming up here in a couple weeks, March 20th, 21st, and 22nd. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Is the third annual Midwest Rep Rap Festival. It's right down the road from our shop at the Elkhart County 4-H Fairgrounds in Goshen, Indiana. And this is the third year for it. It's primarily just a big, it's like the non-typical trade show. So there's very little commercialization of it, if you will. It's a big hangout for any and everybody that wants to get into 3D printing, already in 3D printing. Lots of the vendors, we've got exhibitors from all over the world coming. So if you go to the website, it's midwestrepfest.org, and if I click on my screen here, we can go through. We've hosted it for the last 3 years. We've got Lulzbot, our local makerspace called the Maker Hive. They help out with a lot of the logistics on the event. Ultimachine, Hackaday's coming this year. Maker Juice Labs, Tallman, 3D Hubs is going to be donating print credits for people coming to the show.
Wow.
Matter Hackers, Maker OS is out of Detroit, Michigan. They're coming down. They have a pretty cool announcement. I'm not quite sure on what it is yet, but they're going to give a talk about what they have coming up. Maker's Toolworks, B3 Innovations, they do the Pico hot ends. E3D, he's coming in, Sanjay and another guy. Fusion 3D, and then Trick Laser, who does some 3D printer upgrade parts. We've also got BeagleBoard.org. Let's see, who else? MachineKit.io that does the BeagleBone stuff for 3D printing with a BeagleBone. Oh, there's a few more I'm sure I'm missing, so I'll apologize up front, but those are all the guys that have submitted all their information for the vendor forms. So yeah, it started out 3 years ago. It was me and a couple buddies online wanted to get together for a weekend of 3D printing, and that quickly grew into a dozen friends. That grew into 50 friends. And so 3 years ago, our first ever Midwest Rep Rap Fest, we had about 300 people show up, and that was pretty impressive. Last year, the second year, we had over 1,600 people show up. So this year, we're expecting somewhere around 3,000 people to show up throughout Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Wow, that is impressive. So, yeah, one of the things that we talked about, if you recall, is possibly doing, actually, I don't think possibly, we're going to do it, the Saturday, which is, if this is on the 20th, what is this Saturday?
21st.
21st. At, what did we say, about 5 o'clock
Yep.
Central Standard Time? So that would be 3 o'clock on the West Coast, and then obviously 6 o'clock on the East Coast. But to bring us in, so if you're interested, we're going to do a roundtable discussion. John's going to be part of it. The person we interviewed last week, Eric. We're also, I think he has Martin coming down from Sweden. He's going to be staying with him, and then they're going to be driving down. He's
Yep.
going to be part of it. And then we're going to bring in, I'm hoping, somebody from every continent. We've got Tim from New Zealand who's going to be part of it. I'm hoping that I can get, I can't think of his name now, but there's a guy from Germany that will be part of it, so we'll cover Europe. I've got somebody from India that I'm hoping that can be part of it, who's an Ultimaker, and then all I need to do is find somebody from South America. So John, if you've got somebody you know who wants to join in, we'll have every continent covered except Antarctica, so that will be fun.
All right, I'll keep my ears out.
Okay, and I'll keep soliciting and see if we can get somebody in. But it'll be held live, so that means I guess John will handle the remote station, and I'll be doing the full production here on my end, like I normally do. And I think it's going to be exciting. You know, I can just imagine it because my parents, who just came down, they're from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is, I guess, south of where this is occurring. But the attitude and what would you call it, the lifestyle is very similar in that region, and I can just think of bratwurst and beer and just having a great old time. Just a big, Spring Fest, and so it's going to be
Yeah,
exciting.
it's
I'm
become
glad.
quite the mecca, if you will. So we're located like 3 hours from anything. It's 2.5, 3 hours to Chicago, 2.5, 3 hours to Indianapolis, to Detroit, to Toledo or Cleveland's 5. So we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. So the people that show up, they really want to show up for this event. So last
It's
year, it was amazing to have 1,600 plus people from all over the world. They just wanted to come and hang out and have a fun weekend, meet some friends, put
Hey,
names to
John,
faces, things like that.
drop your camera back in.
Alrighty.
Um, so yeah, it sounds fun. It's going to be like the Burning Man of the Midwest. You'll be burning corn.
Yeah, lots of that.
So I'm looking forward to it. On that note, well, I'll get to it at the end when I normally, but I've got another announcement. If you're familiar with South by Southwest, that starts next week, and I've been invited by Autodesk to be a moderator on a 3D printing panel, and the title of it is, the myths of 3D printing, and obviously there are a few of them, and so it'll be interesting. So I might be bending your ear to ensure that I get a lot of good questions. We've got scientists from Autodesk who's going to be part of it. We've got the major marketing person from Shapeways, so it'll be really interesting to see what they have to say. But I'll be heading that up on, gosh, not next Sunday, or not this upcoming Sunday, but the following Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Cool.
And I'll be putting out more information about that. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm on the road more than I've been in a decade. So it's kind of fun to be involved with so many things going on in the 3D print environment. So on that note, I think it's time for the unboxing. John, are you familiar with the, what is it, the
Fuel
Fuel
3D?
3D? Yes.
Yeah, actually, last year we had a booth next to them at the Science and Technology Fair in Washington, D.C. So got to meet and check it out. It's pretty neat.
Yep, and actually at CES they had a really prominent booth that I had an opportunity both to interview their CEO and then actually go into the booth and get a demo. So I've kind of left opening this thing till today, so it's been almost a week since I've had it. But on that note, I'm going to drop into my close-up camera, and there you go. And if you notice, there's another little product there called the V360. We'll talk about that. I did an unboxing last week, and I'll have some feedback on that. So on that note, here we go. So I'm going to try and stay near my microphone so that my levels stay. But it looks like many unboxings, done well. They have a sleeve that I'll remove, and then looks like you have a nice standard box. I normally key out my green, but obviously keying out my green here would have left me with just some letters, so I decided just to leave it at green. So it looks like it's well packed. It's in a hard type foam cutout. So let me bring it up there. So there you go. So it's well packed. And this is not new to me because I've followed them for over a year. And one of the things that was cool about their Fuel 3 design is that they got feedback from their Kickstarter backers on what it should look like. And sure enough, they chose a design that was popular amongst the backers, and that's what we have here. So if you've already seen some of the demos, and even though I don't have it set up, it's set up. Let me see if I can. I'll come back to my other camera. So here we go. So as you see here, you've got your kind of hand grips, and there are buttons on each side for triggering the scan process. There is some lighting systems because the way that this works is what they call a stereoscopic or a more of a parallax scanning system where you take two camera images and the differences allows you to determine depth, and that's what we have here. And then notice on the 3 points you have lighting, but then you have your two cameras in the middle here. And one of the things that they do a little differently than some of the other competitors is they have a target that they use for tracking. And what I was told by the CEO, Stuart, is that in the future their software performance will be good enough that they won't need that tracker. So I will open up the rest of the box, and let me switch back to my other camera here. And it looks like you have as many products, a small manual. But this is kind of neat. They really put a lot of effort in creating a nice, clean packaging. It seems like everything is in a package. Let me get back in my camera here. Let's see what's in this box. Okay, so it looks like your power supply, and if you're not aware of it, the actual company is from England, so it kind of makes sense that they would provide a full Europe or international complement of plugs so that you're covered regardless of where you're at. And then let's see what's in the other box. So one of the things that I was concerned with, okay, so as here's your target, which is located here. Let's see if we can bring it. Let me go back to my main camera. So this is your target. It's keyed out. That's not good. We go right here. So it's green like the rest of it, and this is what you would put under your chin. So even though it'll be keyed out, you can see the blackness. So there you go. You put it under your chin. It uses that targeting functionality in order to align the process. So I'll have to figure out what this little piece is for. Comes with a cleaning. Again, they keyed out, but that's, let me go back to my other camera. So that a green cleaning cloth, a USB cable, and the target inserts for that little thing that I had up earlier. And they've already done a few videos. They're out there. Next week, I'll probably give a little rundown and my impression of it. So far, it's fairly quick. I've noticed some issues, and again, I have not tried it yet, but this is from previous experiences. There seemed to be a little bit of surface distortion. The object seemed a little flat. It doesn't have any stitching functionality yet, even though they identify prominently that there's some editing software. There's a company that's creating a product called MeshUp that will be included with it that will allow you to do more with it, like take the meshes and include them on other things. It was Euphoria was the name of the company. It was a Kickstarter program, and I just found out through Chris that they have now pushed out a beta version finally to its backers. So it looks like we're moving forward with that. I will give it a rundown over the weekend, and next Friday I will talk more about it. So let me bounce back to myself here. So that is the unboxing of the Fuel 3D. And now I've got all kinds of parts on my long table. So I'll get into one more item, and then we'll close it down for the day. All right, we're actually ahead of schedule. So this is the result of the, if you can see it there, the V360. It is a cylindrical full 360 panoramic view. It is a 4 megabit, no, it's a 4K by 4K imaging device that, let's see if I can, yeah, it's in the picture. Let's see if I can bring it up. Go back to it. Here it is here. So as you can see, there is a mirrored surface in there. It looks kind of like an egg, and then there's a hole in the top where the imaging device, and then it reflects off a surface mirror above it. So it's like two reflections, and that's what it takes the image from. But because of this egg-shaped hemispherical mirror, it allows it to capture this image here, which is a full 360 at 4K. So with that being said, we're watching it on our screen now is because it will convert it. It's got an HDMI port into a format that allows you to see the whole thing. What's cool about it is that it's got some great tools for, let let me bring up my, that you can use either on Android or iOS to control this feature. So I'm going to do so now. So I can go into the extreme, which is the whole panoramic, or I can start rotating around. And you can see this is my studio here.
That's a pretty cool camera.
Pretty neat. And one of the techniques it does, again, like I said, how do you take this image, which is like 6,000 by 2,000, and make it into a format that can be used in, let's say, Premiere or some other type of video editor, so that you can create 360 panoramic images. And what they do is they literally cut it in half, and they fill up the entire frame of a standard 4K image. And so you're working with 4K video. Sad thing is it's proprietary, so some of the other web-based tools out there don't understand its format, so I'm not able to use it, and they don't have a web-based service. So I'm having to figure out how I can export this in a format on one of the, I wouldn't say public domain, but one of the free sites to get some material that I did out at Rio 2015. And John, as we're talking now, I am actually recording this for the last hour, so I will have this material. And it has some tools in there. If you can create within your Android or iOS device the ability, I'll come and position myself here, but you can kind of edit it on the fly. You can determine what parts you want, and then you can position, kind of like what I'm doing now, what part of the video you want to go out as a standard 1080p, which I think is kind of a neat tool. So you can do in post the ability to figure out what angle you want your shot to be in. And I had set this up on the table a couple of days ago with my parents on one side and Siobhan and myself on the other, and just kind of did a dinner with Andre type experience, and then was able to edit as we both talk back and forth, all from one series of footage with one camera. So they're marketing this, and I've actually got a test version that you can see here. This base is not included with it, but that's coming out, so that you can use this kind of like a conference room camera.
Yeah.
And then it can be controlled by an audience on who they want, or hopefully in the future it'll determine. It's only got 2 microphones in it, so it's not that good at positioning, so obviously it won't know who's talking and position it, but it does allow a person to control the camera so they can position it to whoever they want to. So it's a neat tool. Currently it is $300,
Okay.
but it will go up to $399. I think that's to the 10th of March or something like that. I have their link in the show notes, and then we can go out and. So it's a cool little device. So if you're into VR or wanting to capture material that you want to use in your glasses, they do have in their app the ability to show it in a VR type environment. Because it is not parallax, meaning 2 cameras, they're creating pretty much a 360 view that is flat. So you're not really getting that stereo perception. And I don't know if they're just not providing the computation, but normally if you're not actually using the interocular distance between 2 cameras, you don't really capture that well without doing some tricks. So currently you can put it into a VR system, but it has problems with flatness. But it's kind of neat to be able to turn your head around with the VR glasses and be able to look wherever you're at. I did I live here out on the coast, so I went out to Avila Bay and shot some things out on the pier, walked down it, so that's kind of neat. Hopefully I'll have these up for people to see soon. And yeah, I think it's a neat camera, and it's very reasonably priced. If you're a GoPro nut, it comes with accessories to hook up to your bicycle or mount to your head. So it provides a unique experience that you can't otherwise see. So that is about it. One other thing I wanted to bring up,
Sure.
and I keep forgetting, and then John, I'll let you take over, and if there's anything else you want to bring up. But I don't know if you're familiar with BuildTech. I used them, over a year ago, and they're reasonably priced, so I think this was like a $13 sheet. But I found this works great, and I don't have to use any glue, any tape. What do you have there? Is somebody else?
Nope, they're Buildtech.
Excellent. So
They make
yeah,
them for our size. So they have the 2 sizes cut round for our Delta printers.
excellent. Yeah, they seem to be making them available for a lot of them. Since my Delta printer is the Castle Clear, I had a weird bed size, so I had to cut this down a little bit. But yeah, they build them for the MakerBots. They build them for my MakerGear M2, and I kind of swear by them now. I use a new PLA material called Polymax. I swear by it. If you don't have any yet, John, grab some. That is some wonderful material. I can't remember. It's Poly something, and I keep forgetting the name of the company, but I do remember the name of the material. It's Polymax. I'm going to be doing an interview with them in the next couple of weeks. They're a company out of China. And, you know, a lot of times people complain that some stuff on Amazon that's from China just doesn't do really well. Well, these guys are exceptional. I've tried tons of PLA manufacturers, and I swear by this one. Polymax gives you the strength and durability, sound like a broken record here, of ABS, but at the temperatures of PLA, and it sticks incredibly well. And so if you're not familiar with it, I'd grab some. I know that they come out in 1.75. I don't know if they have 3mm, but I think all your printers are 1.75, right, John?
Yeah. Where do you get it at?
Gosh, let me see if I can jump back and.
Is it made by Polymaker?
That sounds right.
Okay, I think I've seen that. Yeah, I think I have some samples.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I backed them on Kickstarter, and I'm almost out of the roll, but I've done all my prototypes. I did all my NEODiMOUNT with it, and I really recommend it to anybody to go ahead and get it. They also have some other unique materials. They have a wood-based material. Let me jump back to it now that I've got it. Where's my screen at? Desktop capture. Here we go. But Polymaker is the name of the company. Like I said, I'll be doing an interview with them. They're going to have some new materials out. Their products, as mentioned, they have a wood-based material. They have the Polymax, which they haven't gotten back to me, but I think it's only in white. I'm hoping they come out with other colors. But I spray paint all mine with an enamel coating if I want something different. And what's surprising is that it flows well. I get no ridging. I have very little sanding to do afterwards. I have been very impressed. And now they show that they've got translucent colors available. Let me jump to my screen here. Like I said, they Poly Plus, Poly Max gives you high strength, and I can attest to that. They have a Poly Wood that mimics wood. Then they have the Poly Flex materials, which I've heard actually work really well. Yeah, what's the big flexible material that most Ninja Flex?
Ninja Flex, yeah.
Which is really hard to work with. They've kind of licked that with this. It actually works pretty well. You have to slow it down, which you have to do with most flexible materials. But I found that it worked really well. It never clogged my extruder, which has been a problem with some of them. But yeah, I like it. And now they have translucent colors, so interesting. So I will have them on. They'll talk about their upcoming materials. But again, I can't say enough about the Polymax. It is a great material. So John, if you have some there, try it out.
Yeah, I've got actually samples of the translucents.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so on that note, that's about all the things that I've covered today. And like I mentioned, we've got the South by Southwest happening next week, and I will be there on Sunday at 5 p.m. I will put a link in my show notes exactly which venue. Have you ever been to South by Southwest?
I haven't been there, no.
I have not, but we had somebody on who did the documentary Print the Legend.
Yep.
And we interviewed them while they were there. And from what I've heard, this thing is huge, lots of things going on, so hopefully I don't get lost in all the things that are going on at 5, but it should be an interesting time. And then, obviously, your event, so if I'll give you the floor again, please give us the times and dates, and if you're in that region, I think John would welcome you with a big bear hug.
Yeah, you bet. So once again, March 20th, 21st, and 22nd here in a couple weeks. in Goshen, Indiana, and the website is midwestrepwrapfest.org.
Okay, and that will be in the show notes. And do they get a wonderful T-shirt that I've been showing off on all of my
We'll have
tweets
T-shirts, hats, coffee cups, all of the vendors, so all of the more commercial companies come to the event. They donate parts and pieces. Some printers will be given away, tons of filament, all kinds of 3D printing related stuff. And so everybody that comes in gets a door prize ticket, and we'll probably have close to 500 door prizes. So pretty good odds of getting something.
And too bad that I didn't go. See, well, I'd finally win something, and now I don't get the opportunity to actually possibly win something because the odds are in my favor. Well, on that note, two great things coming up. Next weekend is South by Southwest, the interactive that goes on all week. The week after is the Midwest Rep Rap Festival, bringing people from around the world. So if you're into Rep Rap, and you might find some of the people in your forums out there and maybe able to come out and physically make contact with them, which is always a great thing. So on that note, I don't know if I'll be doing this next Friday. I may be on an airplane, so Chris may be holding the fort down. But and I don't know if I've got approval to do a streaming live of my event. If so, I will put out the times for that. So again, John, thank you for filling in for Chris. I hope the bus that he took takes him to his destination and not off to some place that we'll never hear from him again. So, audience, thank you. I appreciate you tuning in. Bye.